what we want is to private companies, not necessarily government, private companies to add value.
Right.
To coffee, to textiles, to fruits,
right.
to cereals, for animal feeds and for pharmaceutical purposes. But you can imagine we have been depending on steel imported from India, China, Ukraine, which makes it expensive. We have got a number of steel mills which recycle scrap.
Mm-hmm.
But recycled scrap is not as good as integrated steel mill.
Yes.
From the very good iron ore which we have here.
Correct.
But now we finally have managed to get somebody. But I had started long ago talking with Tata and so on. And, but this is just one example, like steel industry for the hinterland of Africa. Because you see from here to the ocean is very far.
Yes.
1,000 miles to Dar es Salaam.
Mm-hmm.
800 miles to Mombasa. So when you bring steel product, freight alone,
yes, indeed. Yeah.
From far away, freight alone is more important than even the value of. So in order to assist the construction industry, the automobile industry, which we are developing here, like in this case, we have always wanted integrated steel industry in the hinterland of Africa. But now I think we have about sort of it.
Regional head of the state. So it's something which will certainly resonate very strongly with him personally and with India. But we are also interested in expanding our cooperation, seeing other areas where we can be of mutual help, any projects which your Excellency feels we can undertake, any way we can contribute to the development of your country. It will be a practical way of expressing our solidarity and friendship. Of the sectors that you mentioned, pharmaceutical is of course something where actually partly because of COVID, the sector has grown very much in the last 3 years. So Your Excellency is quite right that the disease and pathogens create value if you know how to do so. I know many of our pharmaceutical companies are looking for the right location in Africa, because finally medicine needs people. I mean, you cannot be very far away from people. And increasingly there is an element of local acceptance.
Yes.
I would say, Excellency, a lot of what you said I would be very happy to look at. We have a military training team here which have been with your,
I know
with your academy, and we have made some offers in respect of the Air Force for the Sukhois, and also, also for electronic upgrades. But we are becoming now quite a significant exporter of military equipment. Especially, Excellency, you would find in many areas we'd be very cost competitive. Our equipment is very used for tough conditions because we operate in very tough conditions. So they are not even the vehicles, the guns. These are meant really for the kind
Altex East Africa, which says do something new and make sure that something that you do which is new today is quite important for the growth of your life and the growth of your business. *292# is the USSD code that you can use to kickstart off your morning with investment. Remember, the markets open at 8:15 a.m. So if you want to invest in government bonds and securities and other securities, obviously, you will definitely register with your NIN, and in the next 24 hours you'll be able to invest in the platform. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. And well, back to the point of discussion where I was actually relating to the fact that the India and Uganda relations have been fundamental, quite vital to the development of the country, and it's one of the reasons as to why many other people are actually calling in for further bilateral relations between Uganda and other countries, because this not only focus on investment, but also create understandings, or because MOUs are normally signed. And within here, you look at the fact that as the president further continues to remind Ugandans to focus on value addition, it is something that he's also reminding the investors that they should definitely be part of. The discussions around value addition should be one of which the investors should prioritize as well as they come to the country here, because in the long run you will realize that it's something that we lately never take seriously as a country, but value addition does add up to one of the few of the things that we need to at least focus on, because by the look of things as well, India minister discussed military cooperation with the president. They actually the president did say that Uganda is banking on India for defense cooperation, one of the key things to do, and India also pledged support to Uganda in value addition and various markets, because this is something that by the look of things, India is looking to how they can scale up business and connect Uganda to the global market, and in which way is to have sustainable business events in India, where they will create, now with these business events in India, they intend to create events that will provide pretty much an opportunity for Ugandans to market their businesses in India. And of course, this will be something where Ugandan business delegates and other people will be heading into India to at least tap into those opportunities quite oftenly. And also, besides that, Indian businesses will also be sending business delegations in Uganda so that they invest and interact and help out in one way or the other in regards to business still. So it goes beyond just value addition and markets, but also it also goes to a situation whereby Uganda and India want to create at least an understanding where the two countries and the investors from the two countries can easily tap into the markets. Of course, there's a lot to learn from India, and not only that, not only from the market, but how to sustainably maintain or keep a business empire. Those are some of the things that we Ugandans can easily learn from the Indians in there, because we've seen quite a number of Indian investors and billionaires in the country here who have set up quite a number of franchise that continues to stay. So one would clearly say it is more prudent for the government to seek for at least these kind of relationships, because they are not only pivotal for economic recovery, but also quite fundamental if we are to look at sustaining the economic strength of our country. So in one way or the other, you get to realize it's something that we need to focus on and see how best we can definitely benefit from here and how we can execute everything that is ahead of us. But well, that aside though, we now turn our eyes to the SMB press review this morning. And up with the press review, we've got the New Vision and the Daily Monitor here with me. And the New Vision highlights clearly the Iron Sheet saga. President Museveni to take action on ministers as the Director of Public Prosecutions gets files of 8 more ministers in the same space. Now, President's West Nile visit as President Museveni and was touring Alimoy Swaibu's farm at Oyu village, that is in Anibi Parish in Rhino Camp Town Council, Madi Okolo district yesterday. The 3-day presidential visit to the West Nile region is basically aimed at popularizing his wealth creation initiative through different government programs. Not only that though, such as the Emyoga and the parish development model. These are some of the things that the president intends to focus on. Now, also, as we continue to look deeper into the other situations, is that the DR Congo, UPDF takes over former M23 base. This is something to do with. Then also the detail regarding the report that we had President Museveni and India's minister discuss value addition. That is another report by the Daily Monitor, rather by the New Vision. Now, also, LDC moves to decentralized graduation to cut costs, as all ceremonies shall be physical, and but also streamlined online, as they will be able to cut costs for the graduates as well. Now, President Museveni responds to Twitter users over Easter message. He does say that every holder of agricultural land should join commercial farming because that way they will be fighting employment. Now, in here there is a breakdown of how President Museveni has responded to Ugandans. There is addressing on something to do with growing system, corruption and crime, fighting corruption, employment, legislation and accountability. All that is in here, and also a very huge one regarding commercial agriculture. President Museveni is on a tour, is on a regional tour that is in West Nile, or in the West Nile region. It is going this morning from the former clock tower that is around the Kampala flyover as you're heading to the Ben Kiwanuka Street, the famous Ben Kiwanuka Street this morning, to see how the traffic atmosphere is and what the mood is for now, so that you can easily know as you kickstart off your day which is the better option, to stay home now and wait a little longer, or hit the road definitely and wait within the traffic. Let's get with our traffic update this morning. We shall be joining in later on with the traffic updates in regards to trying to understand the atmosphere in there. Of taxation in the country. But besides that, we now turn our eyes to Andrew BARIGYE, who is on ground this particular morning. Like I did mention, he's at the former clock tower, or the pivotal center for the current Kampala flyover, to just pretty much give us a brief about how the traffic is flowing this morning.
Thank you very much, JORAM. And of course, today we are right here. That is at the Clock Tower Junction. And of course, quite a very busy junction, as you can actually take a look. And it seems to be quite a little bit congested for the people that are coming in from the different destinations. And of course, heading to town. And those that are coming in from town, heading back to the junctions that really, to the routes that connect to this very, very junction. Now, on my right-hand side, of course, taking a look at the Nsambia route, the people that are coming in from areas like Kansanga, Kabalagala, Bunga, that route you seem to be a little bit congested, just vehicles held in quite and there is some kind of a fleet of the vehicles, though it's not really as thick as we had anticipated. Yes, for the people that are coming in from Kabalagala, coming in from Kansanga, and you're connecting to actually town, you can see you might be delayed a little bit, but at the end of the day, probably you'll reach in the required time for you to get to the destinations that you're heading to. Well, you could be set free to head in there, but along, of course, heading towards connecting to the Kampala route, it's a little bit very technical and tricky. You find that there is quite a lot of many vehicles that are coming in here. Remember, some are coming from other routes and are being released, and you're also being released from this route. So you're going to get congested around somewhere there as you're heading towards town. So that is the biggest challenge regarding that. Quite so many vehicles connecting, and of course different junctions and all being released. So that is causing a very tight congestion. Because at the very time we see that there are vehicles that are coming in from Entebbe connecting to town, still here. Vehicles coming in from Kabalaga, like I said, connecting still here. It's the same aspect, and you find that there is some sort of a congestion, and it's quite inevitable, according to the observation I'm getting to see in here. Yes, people heading to town, it's quite very technical. Coming from Entebbe, if you're coming from Entebbe, you're coming from areas like Namasuba, you know, you're coming from areas along Entebbe Road. It's quite a little bit very tricky for you to reach in the required time. As you can see, there is quite lots of congestion. Of course, when you're coming from all the way there, it might seem a little bit okay, but the only challenge is going to come when it comes to this junction. It's the actual congestion where it is really demonstrated, yes, to the maximum. And of course, quite so many pedestrians. This is one of the areas that has quite lots of pedestrians, many border borders, and definitely still under construction. And of course, very dusty in the look of things when you get to take a look at what is really happening in here. But of course, there is traffic officers trying to make sure that everything is put in the right mood. The vehicles move the right way. Now, taking a look at the vehicles coming in all the way, that is from Entebbe, and of course, they are connecting towards the Usafi route. Yes, that is what we are observing in here. And well, that is it for the traffic updates this morning. And at this very time, back to studio with JORAM.
Break, I will be returning with Karibu East Africa and the letters from the SMB International News. So stick around, I'll be getting right back with more business information this morning.